warm Big Bus Tours welcome to the wonderful city of Dublin. I'm Sinead, your guide for today, along with Joshua and Patrick. Say hello, guys.
Hello. Hey, everyone.
We're so excited to bring you along on this tour and tell you all the fascinating stories that make Dublin the fair city it is today. And let's start with that gleaming stainless steel spectacle in front of us. It's called the Spire, and it's been here since 2003. We in Dublin love a nickname, and this one is known as the Spire in the Mire, the Rod to God, and the Stiletto in the Ghetto.
The Spire sits just in front of the General Post Office, or the GPO, which is that striking building on our right with the columns. This building served as the headquarters for the Irish Republican military during the 1916 Easter Rising for Irish independence.
Irish volunteers and citizen army members seized the building on Easter Monday, the 24th of April 1916, and fierce fighting against the British forces took place around it for 5 whole days. You can still see the bullet holes in the ground columns from all the crossfire. Patrick, what else can you tell us about the Rising?
Well, it was here at 12:45 p.m. on Easter Monday 1916 that Commander-in-Chief Padraig Pearse read out the proclamation declaring Ireland's right to an independent republic. There were 7 signatories to that piece of paper, and all these patriots were eventually executed. These were the state's founding fathers, and the General Post Office is proudly known today as the birthplace of modern Ireland. But it wasn't actually until 1922 that Ireland finally gained independence from British rule. Today, the building still houses a post office and a fantastic museum where you can learn all about the Rising of 1916. It's well worth a visit.
Amazing. Now, look out for the impressive statue of Daniel O'Connell, the former Lord Mayor of Dublin, in the central island at the end of the street. He was known as the Liberator thanks to his success in achieving emancipation for Irish Catholics in 1829. He ended the penal laws, which had previously suppressed Ireland's majority Catholic population by preventing them from speaking or writing Gaelic, voting, buying land, travelling and more. And it's in his honour that this street was named.
Now, keeping with O'Connell, this tour has taken us south side, over the O'Connell Bridge. Keep an eye out for the green domed building down the river to our left as we cross. That's the Customs House. If you visit, see if you can spot the 14 beautiful carved keystones of the river gods. There's one for every major river in Ireland. Now, if you fancy some fresh sea air, be sure to check out the Big Bus Dublin half-day coastal tour to Hove, a stunning seaside village which is only 30 minutes from the city centre, included in our Explore ticket or available to purchase in our visitor centre or from our street team. It includes a guided walk on the cliffs of Hove and some free time to explore the town and its gorgeous picturesque harbour.
On your walk, you cross the scenic headlands overlooking Dublin Bay, which is a great place to spot gannets, seals, puffins and curlews in the wild. On your way back, take a refreshing stroll on the pier or wander the cute, quaint streets around this charming town. As we bear right at the end of Delir Street, see if you can spot a small stone pillar sculpture on the left. It's called the Stein, and it's a wonderful reminder of our fascinating Viking past.
Ah, that's right, Sinead. The infamous Vikings, Dublin's original raiders and traders. They settled here in 841 AD around Christchurch and Wood Quay, and the Stein is a model of a carved pillar built by the Vikings in the 10th or 11th century, which was originally used to moor ships on the river.
I love the Stein. It's so tiny but represents such a huge part of Dublin's history.
Another huge part of our history is the famous and prestigious Trinity College, Ireland's oldest university, the whole site of which is behind that building to our left. Patrick, give us the lowdown, please.
Gladly. The college was founded back in 1592 by Queen Elizabeth I, and its most famous attraction is definitely the 9th century manuscript, the Book of Kells, which contains the 4 biblical gospels. It draws in around 1 million visitors every year. It's also no secret that Trinity College has produced some of Ireland's greatest thinkers. Alumni include philosophers Edmund Burke and George Berkeley, playwrights Samuel Beckett and Oscar Wilde, and Mary Robinson, who became Ireland's first female president in 1990.
I am of Ireland. Come dance with me in Ireland. There are real motivations there.
Approaching the Big Bus Tours bus stop for Trinity College. Hop off here to see the world's famous Book of Kells, or why not take a walk around the grounds? Trinity College is a beautiful place full of fascinating history.
Now, if you're hopping off here, please make sure you have your headphones and your tickets. Bye for now.
Shops selling fantastic Irish goods, from Aran wool sweaters and tweed caps to glassware and pottery.
Lovely. Now, coming up on our right is Kildare Street, home to our magnificent National Library and fascinating archaeology museum, where you can learn more about Dublin's Viking history.
Also on our right is the Kilkenny shop, which is famous for its Irish craft and design and has been for over 50 years. Inside you'll find gorgeous handmade jewellery, homespun knitwear, stunning collectible ceramics and so much more. If you're looking for the perfect gift, this is your place.
And if you are tempted, we're now approaching the Big Bus Tours bus stop for South Leinster Street.
If you're hopping off here to shop and explore, please make sure you have your headphones and your tickets. Bye for now. Can you see that faded signage for Finn's Hotel on our left? Well, that was where legendary author James Joyce famously met his wife Nora Barnacle. His modern masterpiece Ulysses was first published in 1922 and is one of Ireland's most celebrated pieces of literature.
Fans of the book should also look out for Sweeney's Pharmacy, coming up later to our right. This is where lead character Leopold Bloom bought a bar of fragrant lemony soap for his wife, Molly Bloom.
The shop and many other locations in the book are found here, an area known as Georgian Dublin. Patrick, what can you tell us?
Well, the area gets its name from the Georgian period, when 14 Georges reigned consecutively in England from 1714 to 1830. Ireland was under British rule for over 700 years, and at one point, Dublin was second only to London as its most important city. Many members of the so-called Protestant ascendancy, the English-speaking elite, had their homes here, with their servants, known as the skiddies, kept in the basements.
Merrion Square, one of Dublin's gorgeous Georgian squares. And that colourful chap sitting on the rock is none other than Oscar Wilde, one of our greatest poets and playwrights. He lived at number 1 Merrion Square, which is where his statue is facing towards. Some of Wilde's most famous works include The Picture of Dorian Gray, The Importance of Being Earnest, and A
visit or explore this lovely Georgian square, we'll soon be approaching the Big Bus Tours bus stop in Marion Square.
Now, if you're hopping off here, please make sure you have your headphones and your ticket. Bye for now. Our splendid National Gallery is coming up next. It's that beautiful limestone building to our right. It boasts an extensive and impressive collection of Irish and international art.
In here you can find The Taking of Christ, a masterpiece by Caravaggio, which was actually presumed lost until it turned up in the dining room here in Dublin in 1990.
Found it.
Crazy. The gallery also has a brilliant collection of the work of Jack B. Yeats, Ireland's most celebrated painter.
Most of our museums tend to be closed on Mondays. The good news is that most of them are free to enter. And we're now just approaching our next Big Bus Tours bus stop. Hop off here to visit the National Gallery, the Natural History Museum and the Dáil Éireann, which are all just next to each other on this street.
Bye for now.
And now, it's time for a Big Bus quiz. Ready for a tricky one? When it comes to Irish literature, James Joyce's 1922 Ulysses novel is an absolute classic. The story follows three characters who are all deeply connected, and it all takes place on a single day in Dublin. But which day? Is it June 16th, June 26th, or July 16th? I told you, it's a hard one. And the answer is June 16th. It's also called Bloomsday here in Dublin, and it's a massive celebration of James Joyce's life and achievements. The city is buzzing with amazing cultural activities, like dramatisations of Joyce's work, musical performances, and pub crawls. Some superfans have even been known to do marathon readings of the novel, taking over 30 hours. Bloomsday is named after the protagonist of Ulysses, Leopold Bloom. So you'll often find people dressed up in Edwardian costumes, visiting the same landmarks Bloom did in the story.
These boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do.
If you need to stretch your legs, how about a free walking tour? Yellow Umbrella Tours operates Northside and Southside walking tours, which are another great way to experience Dublin. Their knowledgeable and enthusiastic tour guides will show you around the city's essential spots.
And they have some of the best insider knowledge of Dublin's hidden wonders. Discover what makes this city such a fun, historical and vibrant place whilst getting that all-important step count in.
Absolutely, Sinead. Each tour takes approximately 3 hours, so always make sure you check the weather in advance and bring appropriate footwear and clothing. Ask your driver for help in choosing the best tour for you. supposedly the most photographed door in Ireland. So that's one for your Instagram, folks.
We'll soon be turning onto Leeson Street, a hotspot for nightclubs and bars in the city. One that's definitely worth checking out is the intimate live music venue, the Sugar Club, just over on our left. It's a real hidden gem, hosting world-class acts playing hip-hop, jazz, soul, Afrobeat and world music.
So cool. Also, check out Hartigan's on the same street, a famous pub that's been around since the 1720s. The AM above the entrance stands for Alfie Mulligan, who owned the pub for decades and turned it into a true Dublin institution. building with the blue door that will appear on our right is the Mansion House, and it is just gorgeous. That's where Dublin's Lord Mayor has lived ever since 1915. The office holder is elected annually by members of the City Council, but has no powers. So the role is mostly symbolic, with a lot of ribbon cutting and photo shoots.
One perk of the job, however, is the 120 kegs of free beer they receive from the makers of Guinness every year. That's almost 11,000 pints.
Another striking building you'll see to our right is St. Anne's Church, constructed in the early 1700s, boasting a beautiful neo-Romanesque facade that was added in the mid-1800s. What else do you know, Patrick?
Well, this amazing church has hosted a bread shelf since way back in 1723, allowing those in need to pick up a loaf for free. And over 300 years later, this tradition is still honoured. It's wonderful. Now, who has heard of Bram Stoker, the author of Dracula? Stoker studied at nearby Trinity College and married Florence Falcon here at St. Anne's Church. There's a brilliant annual Bram Stoker festival in the city every Halloween, drawing inspiration from his life and work and celebrating the gothic and supernatural.
If you fancy a delicious sit-down meal after a long day of exploring, there's nowhere better than Ficino's, just down Suffolk Street to our left. It's a little slice of Italy in the heart of Dublin, with a real rustic atmosphere.
Absolutely. And great news for you lucky Big Bus ticket holders. 50% your ticket here before 4 p.m. and you can get 2 meals for the price of one.
Cheers! Speaking of savings, this impressive building before us with no windows and extravagant colour is the Bank of Ireland on College Green. Patrick, hit us with the facts.
Sure thing. It was initially built to serve as the Irish Parliament, and its incredible colonnaded entrance influenced the design of the British Museum in London and the US Capitol Hill. On January 1st, 1801, under the Act of Union, the Kingdom of Ireland was united with the Kingdom of Great Britain, and the Irish Parliament was abolished, creating the new United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland.
So that is when the building at College Green became a bank.
Exactly. In 1803, the Bank of Ireland bought it for 40,000 Irish pounds, or punts. And the reason why there are no windows? Well, when it was built in 1730, there was a tax on windows. So, to cut costs, they simply didn't add any.
Smart thinking! And as we pass by the wonderful Trinity College opposite the bank on our right, let's enlighten you with a few more facts. One of the college's most recognisable landmarks is the bell tower that was fixed on the grounds in 1853. Although students traditionally pass through the bell tower when they graduate, they absolutely do not pass through while still in education. It's seen as bad luck, and they believe they will fail all their exams.
The Long Room is also believed to be the inspiration behind the Jedi Library in Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Although, the striking resemblance didn't go down too well with Trinity College, as they hadn't given their permission and are extremely protective of their buildings.
We're about to swing back around Trinity College facing Pierce Street Garda Station, in the building on the right. So this is a great time to tell you about the Garda Síochána, our police force, which translates as Guardians of the Peace.
Pierce Street, where the Garda station stands, was named after political activist Padraig Pearse and his brother William. It was Padraig who read out the proclamation in 1916 outside the General Post Office, stating the people's wish for independence from the United Kingdom and marking the start of the Easter Uprising. Both brothers were tragically executed in Kilmainham jail less than a month after the insurrection. Coming up soon to our left behind our next stop dates back to the early 13th century when it was built on the ruins of a Viking settlement. It has served many purposes over the years, including as the seat of British power, until Ireland gained its independence in 1922.
The castle you'll see today dates back to the early 18th century. In 1684, a huge fire broke out and sadly damaged most of the medieval structure, so it was then rebuilt into a Georgian palace. Amazingly though, parts of the medieval and Viking structure of the castle survived the fire and have been lovingly preserved for visitors to explore. Today the castle hosts presidential inaugurations, official state visits and state functions. You can even tour the state apartments.
Now if you're hopping off here to explore the castle, please make sure you have your headphones and your ticket.
Bye for now. structure with a beautiful facade. This building was once the epicentre of local trade when it was known as the Royal Exchange. People used to come here to exchange Irish pund, the local currency, for English sterling, and to discuss trade and business.
But when the Act of Union was introduced in 1800, Dublin's economy collapsed and the building was abandoned. In 1852, the Dublin City Council bought the building, and today it serves as a fantastic banquet and wedding venue. And we're now approaching the stop for City Hall. So if you're hopping off here, please make sure you have your headphones and your ticket. Bye for now. The awe-inspiring cathedral up ahead is Christ Church Cathedral, a landmark of the city since the year 1030. Patrick, what can you tell us?
Christ Church contains one of the largest crypts in Ireland and Britain, at over 60 metres long, and it even houses a mummified cat and rat. Legend has it that the cat chased the rat into a pipe of an organ and it ended up stuck there forever.
Aha, and that means it's time to talk about Strongbow. Patrick, give us the lowdown.
So, Richard de Clare, also known as Strongbow, was a lord who led the Anglo-Norman invasion of Ireland in 1170. And when he arrived, he brought an army of Welsh archers, hence the name Strongbow. He was buried here in Christ Church, but his monument was destroyed when the roof collapsed in 1562. So the one you see today was restored in 1570.
Back in the time of Strongbow, Dublin was a small walled city with 42 towers, 6 major gates, and Dublin Castle at its heart. Artisan guilds were set up with the likes of goldsmiths, tanners, coopers, bakers, and butchers, hustling and bustling. Medieval Dublin was much smaller than the modern city, with only around 10,000 people living within its walls. Nevertheless, it was an international city, with traders from all over Europe passing through its ports, mixing with the local Irish and Norse population.
If you want to experience the sights and sounds of medieval Dublin, the incredible Dublinia Museum really brings it all to life. You can learn about medieval crime and punishment, the diseases and remedies of the time, walk along a very realistic medieval street, and have a nose inside a rich merchant's kitchen. Patrick's Cathedral, the largest church in the whole of Ireland.
There has been a church on this site since 450 AD, and it's said that this is where St. Patrick, the Apostle of Ireland, baptized Christian converts over 1,500 years ago. This is the guy who St. Patrick's Day, celebrated annually on the 17th of March, is named after. So he's very important to us Irish.
Sitting just outside St. Patrick's Cathedral, and just behind our next stop, is a chap cast in bronze, looking ponderous on a plinth. And that chap is Sir Benjamin Lee Guinness, who helped restore the cathedral in the 19th century. He was the grandson of Arthur Guinness, who first brewed the famous black stuff.
He was a brewer, philanthropist, and the first ever Lord Mayor of Dublin. He also served in the House of Commons in London for the Conservatives, having previously been a Liberal until they proposed higher taxation on drinks such as beer. Some interests never change.
We're now approaching the Big Bus Tours bus stop for the magnificent St. Patrick's Cathedral. If you're hopping off here, please make sure you have your headphones and your ticket. Bye for now.
Welcome to everyone who's just joined our Big Bus tour.
Tucked away to our left is the fantastic Marsh's Library, which became Ireland's first public library when it opened in 1707. It was founded by Archbishop Narcissus Marsh to provide anyone who could read with a quiet place to study.
That's right. At the time, that was a really innovative idea. Public libraries were in common at all during the 18th century. Not even London had one.
And that gorgeous red brick building on the right side of this street is the Deanery of St. Patrick's Cathedral, where its most famous dean, Jonathan Swift, lived for over 30 years. He's well known for being the author of Gulliver's Travels, a fantastical adventure book following the travels of Gulliver to islands populated by giants, 6-inch tall men, immortals, magicians, and talking horses. It was written as a political satire, according to the man himself, to vex the world rather than divert it.
Absolutely. And get this, he also invented the name Vanessa, meaning butterfly. It was a nickname for his lover, Esther von Homering. He combined the first syllable of her surname with Essa, a pet name for Esther. And voila! traditionally home to Ireland's most successful brewing and distilling families. So it's fitting that Teeling's Whiskey Distillery is located here. It was opened in 2015, becoming the first new distillery in the city in over 125 years.
Once upon a time, this area was known as the Golden Triangle, with over 37 independent whiskey distillers. But from a peak of over 100 in 1886, only 2 were left by 1970. The USA was a huge consumer of Irish whiskey, so when they entered the Prohibition period in the 1920s, when no alcohol could be manufactured, transported or sold, it really rocked the industry. Irish distillers refused to illegally transport their whiskey to America, encouraging fake Irish whiskey to be produced in the US, which tarnished the reputation of real Irish whiskey, even after Prohibition ended.
Today, however, Teeling's Distillery is doing a fantastic job leading the way for a new generation of Irish whiskey producers, ensuring that Dublin's proud tradition survives. And now, the global Irish whiskey market is valued at over $4 billion.
We're now approaching the Big Bus Tour's bus stop for Teeling's Distillery. Hop off here for this wonderful Irish whiskey distillery, where you can experience the complete whiskey making process and sample some delicious Irish whiskey. It's fantastic.
Now, if you're hopping off here to enjoy the Teeling's tour, or simply to enjoy the area, please make sure you have your headphones and your ticket. Bye for now.
He's also in another show called Silent.
city.
So, let's go! This area of Dublin is called the Liberty, which is a pretty unusual name for a neighbourhood, right?
Right. It comes from the 12th century when, under the orders of King Henry II, the monks of the Abbey of St. Thomas the Martyr were given lands and powers to control trade within their liberty, or area of control free from city taxes. This meant it quickly became a busy place of trade and commerce, featuring tanning shops, weavers and brewers. However, the Industrial Revolution and the
1875, the most destructive fire in the history of Dublin hit the city right here in the Liberties. It's known as the Great Fire of Dublin, or the Whiskey Fire, and is believed to have started at a storehouse. An explosion set around 5,000 whiskey barrels aflame.
That whiskey ignited and then flooded through the streets like a river and was almost impossible to control. 13 people died, not because of burns or smoke inhalation, but because they consumed cask-strength whiskey and suffered alcohol poisoning.
It was crazy. People were scooping up the liquid gold from the streets, and the Irish Times even reported some men using their boots as drinking cups.
Thankfully, the fire only lasted one night as the fire brigade used horse manure and ash to create dams and stop the fire flow.
Give you a sense of scale. You could fit Ireland into either France or Texas about 10 times over. This makes so many things doable in a short space of time.
That's right, and there are so many wonderful areas outside of the city too, so why not elevate your holiday experience with an extra adventure? Our Big Bus team will be more than happy to help. Amazing! And opposite our next stop at the top of the hill, two stunning churches by the name of St. Odian will come into view. One is Anglican and is the oldest parish church in the city, while the other, with the columns out front, is now the home of Dublin's Polish Roman Catholic community.
And that means we'll soon be approaching our next stop, where you can hop off to visit Dublinia and Christchurch Cathedral. Just remember your headphones and your tickets. Bye for now. Hello, and welcome to the tour to all our new joiners. We're now on High Street, though you're unlikely to feel any major altitude sickness right now, because Dublin is 85 metres above sea level. Most Irish cities are coastal, with 40% of the Irish population living within only 5 kilometres of the sea.
And these coastal settlements are where the Vikings most likely first came ashore to set up camp, establishing settlements including the old medieval city of Dublin. Speaking of the medieval city, over on our left, you'll be able to spot a fragment of the original wall that circled it. In the last century, archaeological excavations have taken place around here, and the discoveries from Viking times have been amazing. A bronze needle case, our artwork and weighing scales are just some of the items discovered. Dublin is constantly uncovering things which help piece together our fascinating history.
Now, let me tell you about Robert Emmet, another character in our fascinating history. He was a rebel who wanted to overthrow the British crown and led a failed rebellion in 1803. After going on the run, he was eventually captured and sentenced to be hung, drawn and quartered. And, to top that off, no pun intended, orders were made that his head be struck from his body. He was only 25 years of age when he was executed. One of his famous lines is, "When my country takes her place among the nations of the earth, then shall my character be vindicated. Then may my epitaph be written."
Shortly, you'll see St. Catherine's Church on our left, where Robert Emmet was publicly hanged. There's a plaque outside honouring the fact that he died for Irish freedom. super popular in Africa, where they have 3 out of the 5 Guinness breweries worldwide. Although in Africa, they drink something called Guinness Extra Foreign Stout, which is slightly different to the Guinness we get here. Instead of barley, it's brewed with maize or sorghum, a grain that's more widely grown in Africa. Hello everyone, and a warm Big Bus Tours welcome to everyone joining us from the Guinness Storehouse. I'm Sinead, your guide for today, along with Joshua and Patrick. Say hello guys!
Hello. Hey everyone.
We're so excited to bring you along on this tour and tell you all the fascinating stories that make Dublin the fair city it is today.
Absolutely. Now Dublin is all about having fun. But while you're on the bus, please remain seated at all times and take care whenever you're hopping on and off.
Oh, and you just have to download the Big Bus Tours app. It's free to download and is crammed full of fantastic additional information, like more information on the attractions close to our route and how to book tickets.
Okay, everyone, it's time to continue our adventure and show you why Dublin is the place to be. Let's go! Now, on top of crafting delicious beer, Guinness also crafts some pretty memorable TV adverts. There's one where someone swims across the Atlantic to apologize to his brother in New York over a pint of Guinness. That someone was Michael Fassbender, an Irish actor who was later nominated for an Oscar.
Now before we say goodbye to the Guinness factory, let's mention another icon of the city, Arthur Guinness, the man behind the world's most famous beer.
Oh, for sure. He contributed so much to Dublin life, all while being a father to 10 children with his wife Olivia. Back in 1759, he took out a 9,000-year lease on the land here and only paid £100 for it. Not a bad deal, huh?
And now from the heritage of Dublin's drinks industry to somewhere that's really mixing it up. Look out for the Pierce Lines Distillery, coming up on our right. The first distillery in the world to open in a church, the Church of St. James. The church was, of course, deconsecrated before becoming a distillery in 2014. But the building dates from 1859 and it's built on a cemetery that had been in use since the 15th century.
We're now approaching the Big Bus Tours bus stop for the distillery. Hop off here to go and check it out.
Now, if you're hopping off here, please make sure you have your headphones and your tickets. Bye for now.
He wrote a list of rules on how he wanted the hospital's patients to be treated, as psychiatric patients were often ill-treated at the time. They would be locked up in prisons, thrown into workhouses, and misunderstood. Jonathan Swift understood that psychiatric patients needed a safe space and empathy instead. His contributions to St. Patrick's went on to shape and significantly benefit the future of mental health in Ireland.
And further down this road is Kilmainham Jail, which which has seen it all since it opened in 1796. Patrick, what can you tell us?
Over 100,000 people were imprisoned there and 140 were hanged before the jail finally closed in 1924. One of its heartbreaking stories is the marriage of revolutionary and poet Joseph Plunkett to Grace Gifford, which took place in the jail just hours before his execution after the 1916 Easter Rising. Because of the jail's significant role in their turbulent past, in 1966 it opened back up to the public as a fascinating museum and art gallery, showcasing paintings and sculptures by prisoners from contemporary Irish prisons.
It's an amazing place. Another amazing place is the Royal Hospital Kilmainham, the oldest classical building in the country, coming up on the left. It used to be a retirement home for soldiers up until 1927, when it was transformed into a headquarters for An Garda Síochána, our police force. And in the 1980s, it became the Irish Museum of Modern Art.
Now, if you're hopping off here, please make sure you have your headphones and your ticket. Bye for now. Planning to take a trip out of the city, you'd most likely use Euston Station, coming up ahead. It's Dublin's main train station and one of the most significant rail hubs in all of Ireland. Patrick, tell us more.
Absolutely. When it was built in 1844, the station was called Kingsbridge, but it was renamed in 1966 in honour of Irish Republican rebel Sean Houston to mark the 50th anniversary of the Easter Rising in 1960. Houston played a massive part in Ireland's fight for independence. As a 25-year-old captain, he managed to hold off British troops from advancing to the south of the city for over 50 hours with only 26 volunteers. But with the constant onslaught of the British, he had to tender and was later executed. Houston worked at the station, so having it named after him is truly fitting.
Over the wonderful River Liffey again, over Frank Sherwin Bridge. The Liffey flows right through the beating heart of Dublin, splitting the city into two parts, the north and south side. And if you like a cold dip, an annual Liffey swim has taken place since the 1920s.
I think I'll pass. The river was used heavily for trade from the beginning of the Viking period up until the 1990s, when Guinness was still being transported by boat from the James Street factory. Patrick, tell us about the Liffey's many bridges.
21 bridges here in Dublin, all with their own story and quirky characters across the Liffey. But the most famous is probably Halfpenny Bridge, dating back to 1816. And it gets its name because up until 1919, people had to pay half a penny to cross it. Half a penny, please. The latest bridge in the Liffey, built in 2014, is the first one to be named after a woman, Rosie Hackett. She was a trade union activist and member of a rebel group which took over St. Stephen's Green during the Easter Rising of 1960. The most spectacular of the Liffey bridges has got to be the Samuel Elliott Bridge, down towards Dublin Port. It's shaped like a heart, Ireland's national symbol, and is often beautifully lit up at night.
We're now approaching the Big Bus tourist bus stop for Parkgate. If you're hopping off here, please make sure you have your headphones and your ticket. Bye for now.
controversial views. He famously dismissed the idea of cremation for Irish Catholics because, in his words, we are too religious. Soon we'll be entering Europe's largest enclosed park, the epic Phoenix Park, at over 1,700 acres. You could fit New York Central Park into it twice over.
Amazing! It was Dublin's first public park when it opened in 1747. But before that, it was a royal hunting park belonging to the Duke of Ormond, filled with fallow deer and grouse. In fact, the park is still known for its fallow deer, with hundreds of them roaming freely. It's lovely. This magnificent park also houses Áras an Uachtaráin, where our president lives, and Dublin Zoo.
See that striking needle-shaped monument to our left? Well, that's the Wellington Monument, the world's second largest obelisk, after the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C. It's dedicated to the Duke of Wellington, who defeated Napoleon at the Battle of Waterloo in 1815, and later became the first and only Irish Prime Minister of the United Kingdom in 1828.
One of his greatest achievements was overseeing Catholic emancipation in 1829, allowing Catholics newfound freedom and almost full civil rights. It was a huge moment.
Over to our left is another great location in the park, Dublin Zoo. It's one of the most popular attractions in the city, and it's been here since 1831.
Wow! Now, who here is familiar with the famous roaring MGM lion at the start of their movies? Well, that same lion was born in Dublin Zoo in 1956. And many people believe he brought a distinctly Dublin growl to his tape.